Hi everyone. This is another session where I continue to, get to meet new people from all over the world. They help me with building software, open source software that hopefully will change the world. A few weeks ago, a gentleman, his name is Mahdi, he reached out to me, through social media, and he had a lot of questions for me about, the engineering standard and guidelines. He wanted to learn how to build things end to end. Mahdi's in the third year in computer science degree in college. He lives in Hungary and he's really hungry for knowledge. And, him and I, he's going to be helping me and keeping me kind of on my toes when it comes to finishing up the decentralized social media platform that I started a while back called Ta'arafu. Ta'arafu basically is an Arabic word that means get to know each other. And the main goal of Ta'arafu basically is to allow people to spin up their own instances of social media and decide who can join and who can't, and connect to other social media platforms, other instances. So this way, Taarafu basically hands back privacy and data control and lets people kind of be able to be hold control of their own data and control who comes into their little communities and whatnot. I've talked about this in the past a little bit, but the timing is nothing short of perfect. With Facebook going down for almost 6 hours, and the whole world just going to a halt. That's not a healthy situation for any software out there. The scalability and the distribution is a complete and utter failure just because of one DNS issue. All of these social media, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook just completely crumbled to the ground. Instead, what Taraf was doing, it's decentralizing. It's decentralizing so you can have your own domain with your own link, with your own kind of platform that's hosting Ta'arafu, and you can invite your family and friends, maybe your college friends, whoever you want, and you don't have to worry about some creep sitting there in the Silicon Valley, looking at your data and analyzing your data, building, prediction models to kind of understand who you are sometimes better than you know yourself so they can tackle you at your weakness. So anyway, without any further ado, let me introduce you to Mr. Mahdi here. Mahdi, do you want to talk to the people? You're on mute. Go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm Mehdi. I'm following Hassan quite a bit, like 6 months, and I was working with C Sharp and .NET Flampon about 1 year. And there was like when I started the project, I had many gaps about testing, about how to architect the project. And after I start the series and follow him, I learned a lot, but there just were some little gaps for me that Hassan's helped me to understand better. And guys, if you want to follow, you have to take a note. Always have a, there is like here, I have, and it's almost half is just about Hassan saying something, and I will take a note. It's important. Okay, it goes to your mind for a second, for a minute, but tomorrow you will forget it. Take a note from my side. That's it.
Awesome, awesome. Maddie, it's such a pleasure to work with you, and I'm really happy that
You're
I get to
welcome.
be a part of your journey at the beginning of your journey. Being a computer science student, this is your third year. You're just about to start this whole engineering industry thing. I wish I had someone to talk to me when I was at that, but I had to kind of figure a few things out on my own. But I'm very, very delighted and very happy to have you, embark on that journey with me. But more importantly, while you and I are learning and getting to know each other through code, which is the most amazing thing about this. I always say software engineering is a social activity. This is how people get to know each other. While you're learning, you're actually building something for the safety of the world, for the children of the world, for the adults of the world, for everybody around the world that want to don't understand quite yet, how dangerous social media platforms are, especially Facebook, and how dangerous it is in terms of data privacy and all that. You're building something that's truly impactful for the rest of the world, and I can't wait to see how far we're going to take that journey. Just letting everyone know that's watching us right now, if you want to be a part of this project, Arafu, by all means, please, find out time. I'll pair with you. I'll record the pairing sessions, or if you want to take tasks on your own and just run with it, that's fine too. the most important thing for me here, and that's really why I do all of these things, is that I want people to be happy. I want you, if you're a software engineer, I want to make your life easy. I want to educate you. I want to fill your head with smarts and your heart with hope. And hopefully one day we get to sit down together and eat food. So that fills your belly with food. That's pretty much it. So hopefully, if your heart is full of hope and passion, and if your head is full of smarts, and if your belly is full of food, I think you can be the most productive engineer out there. And that's basically my motto. So, anyway, without any further ado, let's continue that journey. We started that journey, I was kind of flying solo, and then, it's just like eating food. I don't like to eat food alone. I don't like to do code alone. I don't like to do anything alone. So, Mahdi here is going to join me to kind of start building.
Let's do
Uh,
it.
What's left over of Ta'arafu? Okay, all right. So let me kick it off real quick here, Mahdi. I'm gonna go into the repository. Let's see where we stopped, and let's kind of reignite, this effort to kind of bring people together and have them contribute and participate in building a truly useful social media platform. All right, so I'm gonna go up. So for the people that want to participate in this, there is. I'm gonna go to GitHub, and then you're gonna have to go into. There's two projects. There's this Ta'arafu Core, Ta'arafu.core, and there's also Ta'arafu.web. And Ta'arafu Web is the UI aspect of Ta'arafu, and Ta'arafu Core is the backend. That's the API. So if you search like this, and I'm gonna put the links for these in the YouTube video, so just everybody can kind of get a chance to take a look at it. Here's Ta'arafu like this. So there's two of these. Don't worry about that third one. I should probably delete that one. But these two are where all the contributions are. There's, quite a few, forks that happened on both of these repositories, and we're gonna take this out to the next level. So here's the deal, my friend. Let me take a look here at, where we are. I see one pull request, and that one pull request is for adding a post. I remember the last time you and I are gonna try to finish that PR today. Okay, this is basically the functionality that allows people to kind of add a post. If you're writing a post and you want to post it, that's basically the API that's gonna be able to handle that. So let's see here. Let me go ahead and pull in the code real quick. I'm gonna switch over to Visual Studio in just a second. You bear with me. And you have the code down already, Mahdi, right? Ta'arafu Core. Oh, you're on mute. Uh, Here we go. Switching over to
Yes, I have it. I have it available in my.
Perfect, perfect. You don't have to mute yourself if you don't have noise around you. Just keep it real. Keep it
Okay.
real. Okay, so here's what I have here, and let me increase the font here for the people like for you, you probably won't need to do that, but I'll increase the font on my side so people can actually see the full extent of the content that we're trying to present here. So this is 175. That's the display settings. So now you can see the tree, the solution tree on the right side here is a much bigger. So hopefully it would be a little bit more usable and useful for people. Okay, and I still have that branch. I'm gonna, in order for you to be able to have access to this, I'm gonna give you access on the repository so you can actually contribute to that branch. My friend, I'm gonna go here. What's your Mahdi, what's your GitHub username?
CA
Give me a second here. CA, okay.
CTI
CTI
79.
79. Okay. All right. So I just added you. You're gonna receive a request. I just want you to approve that request. Just accept it, and that should do the trick for you.
Uh, okay, I see. Accept invitation.
Yep.
Done.
All right. Now make sure you kind of on Visual Studio, you can kind of pull out remotes. If you pull that particular repository, the master one that's on my branch, in the remotes area, you should be able to see a branch called Foundations Posts Add. Foundations Posts Add. So see if you can get that one.
Give me a second and I will.
Sounds good. All right. While we're doing that, I'm just gonna build the project here real quick. All right. All right. Okay, let me see. By the way, I
Done.
just heard you're done already? Okay, that's perfect.
Yes.
That's perfect. Okay.
Should I switch to that branch or stick in
Yes,
master?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, switch over to that branch because that's so when we're pairing together, we're gonna be going back and forth. I'm gonna give you a failing test, you're gonna make it pass and so on and so forth. And please, by all means, feel free to ask questions. The whole idea of these sessions, I could just sit alone and knock this out in like an hour, right? But the point here is that you get to run into things and say, Hassan, this doesn't make any sense. And sometimes when people say that to me, what basically happens is that I go over and say, you know what? This guy's right, it doesn't make sense. Let me simplify the standard. Maybe let me make the standard better. That's all what the standard is. It's just an accumulation of people, so many people through the years that will actually that just helped me kind of grow in terms of building software. So anyway, my friend, here's the
Okay.
deal. Here, go
The
ahead.
branch is posts or post.
Yeah, it's foundations. It's called foundations, and then posts add
Okay, done.
plural. Okay. And you should have all your tests passing at this point in time.
Let me run it. Run all test.
Mhm.
Yes, build successfully and 3 pass.
Spelled successfully, right? Okay, perfect. Let's finish this PR. I know I'm starting you off in the middle of the party, but that's okay. Most of the things that we do here are gonna be repeated over and over and over again, so you'll get the chance to kind of do most of that stuff. So here's what we want to do. I stopped here at the point where I already have the logic passing, so we can add a post. That's done. And then there's also the validations aspect of it, where I went and improved the new standard. So now you can add validations and all that kind of good stuff. The other thing that we need to do here, and I'm going to give you a failing test in a second, is to be able to handle an issue with the service unable to contact the database. So let's say you're trying to call the storage broker and the storage broker is saying the database is gone, for instance, right? This is the kind of exceptions that we call critical exception. And I'm going to show you in a second here. There's a new thing that I'm adding here through a standard wise that would basically wrap most of these exceptions into another layer of exception that basically says this is the issue that actually happened. Go ahead and handle it. We're going to start in here with a simple exception class, right? And I'm going to call it post storage error. Sorry, it's we want to put the failed post storage exception. So what does that mean? This is very, very new, this idea. The idea here is to basically go and say, we tried to contact the storage and the storage has failed, right? We couldn't really reach that storage. I'm going to go ahead and inherit from something called exception, which is basically an enhanced class for the exceptions. And in here, I'm going to go and say CTOR, that's the constructor. And I'm passing in here the original exception, whatever that exception is, just to keep that in our logging. And then I'm going to go here and say, well, here's the deal. This guy is like this, base, right? Failed, post storage error occurred, contact support. That basically means there's nothing you can do about it. Go ahead and contact support immediately because this is a critical issue, right? Of course, these critical exceptions that happen in here, they will automatically be logging critical logs. Like when your application is running and you're getting that will trigger a paging. Paging basically meaning your phone is going to start ringing because this is like in the enterprise world, we call it a severity one issue. A severity one meaning that this is a critical error that needs to be handled immediately, even if it's the middle of the night. Wake up right now and fix it. Otherwise, people are going to be able to run your business. And then again, just like I tell people, it depends on how critical your business is, right? If you're running a mom and pop grocery shop and you're getting one or two requests through the night, that's, redeemable kind of error that you kind of have to kind of weigh in whether you want to engage people that early in the morning or not. But if it's like 50,000 requests that are people that are already awake in Japan or Australia, in the middle of the night, and nobody's able to access your system, yeah, that's a critical issue. Engineers have to wake up and then sleep through the day if they want to. All right, so this is the failed post storage exception. That's the first part. And then the other part here is that I want to create a new exception in here. Watch this. And this exception will be called post dependency exception. And I think I already created one. Yeah, there's
Yes,
already
it's
one in
already
here.
there.
Yeah, so post dependency exception is what's going to swallow this localized internal issue, right? And basically present it out to the controller, however that case may be. Okay, let's go down to the test here. I'm going to create a new kind of test. I'm going to copy this logic add. I'm going to throw it in here. And I'm going to say, I'm going to test all the exceptions and how these exceptions are being handled. So this is exceptions. This is, let's see here. This is posts. Let's see, validations. Okay, this is posts. Okay. This is exceptions add. Okay, so this is exceptions add, meaning that I'm handling the exceptions on the add functionality for the posts. All right, now let's write that exception now. Here's the deal. First and foremost, I want to go here and say, this is my fact here, and I'm going to go and say public async task should throw critical dependency exception on add if SQL error occurs, and log it async. So that's basically what this test is doing. It's going and saying, if a SQL exception occurs, go ahead immediately and basically log an error and throw that exception as a critical dependency exception. So here's the deal. I'm gonna go here and say this is my SQL exception. So this is SQL exception that may occur. So that's a new get SQL exception. SQL exception is very hard to create on its own. You can't just go and say new SQL exception. Why is that? Because it's an abstract class. You can't just do that, right? And if you hover over that one, it'll tell you, sorry, this is, ooh, look at that. It's really insulting me here. It's just going wild, right? So it's not going to be okay with that. It's basically saying the exception is thrown when SQL blah. Remarks, this class is created whenever .NET Framework data provider for SQL Server blah. I've never seen a message that big, to be honest. That's a tooltip. Someone really went to town with that. So anyway, let's move on from there. So this is get SQL exception. And then that guy is going to be wrapped in what? Failed post storage exception, because we're localizing it, right? So I'm going to go here and say failed post storage exception that will take in SQL exception as an input parameter. All right, so that's that part. And then the other thing here is that now the last one is expected, right? Post dependency exception. That's the big one, the category. And this guy is going to be post dependency exception in here, and it's going to take failed post dependency exception as an input parameter. Feel free to stop me at any point in time. So this is a given section. Now we want to fake an injury. We don't want to make this actually happen. So I'm going to go here and say this dot mock. So that's a storage broker mock setup. So here's my broker. And if my broker is being called with insert post, and it doesn't matter, I really don't care what that post is, because I just want to fake an exception to happen, right? I'm going to go up in here and say this guy throws a sync. Throws what? What do you think? SQL exception.
Exception.
It's
Exactly.
scary how this thing knows what I need to write. I don't know if you can see this, but
Yes,
scary
I.
business, man.
It goes so fast.
Yes, it's really, and I don't know how it's catching up to me like that, but it's getting smarter and smarter. We're not going to have jobs in a year or so, so let's just have fun while we're at it, right? So, okay. So, okay. So now bear with me. This one here, I'm not actually, there, I don't have expected an actual post. This is just the action itself that's happening, right? So I'm going to go here and say add post task. So that's the task. And I'm not awaiting the call. I'm actually just containerizing the call, and I'm going and saying post service. Now I need some post. It doesn't really matter to me what this post is, so I'm gonna go here and say some post. It's not expected, it's not actual, it's not random. It's some post, because it doesn't do anything to the process of creating of creating an exception or handling an exception. And that's really important. I've noticed a lot of people when I'm writing code, a lot of people might get so easily. You'll see this in our industry a lot. The more you work with engineers, they will go into a rabbit hole, right? You'll be working with an engineer and they'll be like, I wonder why the integer max is that much bytes, versus that. And I'm like, stay with me, man.
Yeah.
This is production time. We're trying to build software. Okay, so there's that guy, and now I'm gonna go up in here and say assert throws async. So this guy's gonna be throwing async something of type post dependency exception, and this is where I'm gonna go here and basically call in that add post task as task like this. So this guy will ensure that this call here, when it actually executes, this is me executing it, it's gonna go and actually throw a post dependency exception. That's number one. But that's not enough. I also want to know what's inside of it, what's actually running inside of it. So I'm gonna go up in here and say, well, the second thing I want to do is that I want to verify that the storage was being called first. So I want to make sure that the storage actually has been called with some post times once. That's the first thing that happened, right? The second thing that happened was that the logging broker has been called. But called with what? Log critical. See? And then in here, I'm going to go and say it is, whatever is being called in here will be the same exception as, like this. And I'm going to pass in the expected post dependency exception. And then the last thing I want to do here is that me go and say, okay, times once. I go really fast. We have done this thousands of times. So stop me at any point in time, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have these pieces. Now the last thing we want to do here, my friend, is to make sure that our dependencies, right, has not been called in any other way, shape, or form. Like nobody called an update in the middle of the conversation or anything. So that's a test, right? And that test basically will be able to handle critical dependency exceptions. Cool.
Cool.
Let me run that test and see. I will do Control KE. That will clean up all the stuff that I don't need in here. And then, oh, what happened? Oh yeah, because we upgraded to the new .NET thing. I think I need to kind of disable a couple of things in here. So this is cleaner. What is that? The fluent assertion is not recognizing fluent assertions. I'll come back to this one. This is one of those rabbit holes that I tell you about. Don't get stuck. You have a failing test. Go ahead and just shoot it over, and then we can clean up later, right? Okay, here we go. This guy's gonna be running, and I have a failing test. Why do I have a failing test? It says I expected you to throw a post dependency exception, but what was actually thrown is a SQL exception. That's a good sign, right? That
Yeah.
basically means that the exception really happened, but you didn't handle it, right? So there's a good failure and a bad failure, and there's a bad pass. If this goes green, I'd be very concerned, right? All right, my friend. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this commit. Look what I'm doing. I'm copying the test name and then a thin arrow that says fail. So when you
Okay.
do yours, you're gonna give me a thin arrow that says pass. See? So okay, I'm gonna give you this over now, and you go ahead and try to make it pass. Your turn.
Okay.
All right.
Let me
Mm,
get changes.
all right.
Sync.
Do you wanna share your screen while you're syncing?
Just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, it's synchronized.
All right.
And now I will share my screen.
Let's go to town. Let's make it happen. All right. There we are.
Okay, sorry if I'm a fan of the light theme.
The light mode, it's
Yeah,
okay. I love you anyway. It's all right.
thank you.
Nobody's perfect. All right. Let's make
Okay,
sure you have a failing test. First and foremost, before anything, once you get code from anybody, run all the tests. Sometimes some people will run only the test that they were working on. That's bad because maybe you broke other tests and you don't know about it, right? Let's go. Go ahead. Hopefully you'll get a failing test. I'd be concerned if you didn't. No, you don't have latest. Let's try this again. Do click on the these.
Sync button,
No, no, no. Don't worry about that sync and stuff like that. I don't know what these things do.
pull
Uh,
button.
yeah, that should probably pull the stuff. There you go. Here we go. Okay, let's try this again. Or do you feel that it didn't pull anything? Ah, weird. Okay, open up that package manager console. Click on that package manager console and do this for me. Do git pull. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Here we
It's
go.
weird.
Yeah, yeah, just wait. It's trying. It's doing something. It usually shouldn't take that long, to be honest, but let's just see what it does. So it doesn't know how to, it's not able to sync it up, right? How about this? Do you see this 0/0 at the bottom, Visual Studio 0? Yeah.
Here.
Click that guy and then say sync, pull, and push. I hope that does something. There you go. Huh. Okay. And Maddie, this branch is coming from, my because you should have more click on remotes real quick. Yeah,
Yes.
you're in the right place. You're in the right place. Maybe I forgot to push. Maybe it's my bad. Hold on a second. Maybe it's me. No, it's not me. I did good. I'm gonna sync just for all intents and purposes. Pushing the
Okay.
current branch. Okay.
Oh, let me do something else. I will
Uh,
close this and clone it again
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Sounds good.
because sometimes I don't know.
Okay.
It's it's happening.
All right, while you're doing that, here's what I'm gonna do for you. I'm gonna basically try to figure out, there is a couple of things that I want to add in this project while you're doing that. So I'm gonna share my screen here while you're fixing this problem. We'll get busy, right? So we'll put that in there. And let's just see. I think my friend Shri here, she basically upgraded most of our libraries here, but there is a piece here that's really important. If you're working on a .NET 6 project, you probably want to make sure that you disable the whole null and the null check, and also there is the global usings. So these two things you need to probably disable those if you don't really agree with that direction in terms of design and all that. So let me steal that from B virtualization. My friend Brian and I have been working on this, and I think I can pick this up from here. So let's go up in here. Here you go. These two things, nullable checks. Let's see here. Here. So here's what I'm gonna do. All you gotta do is just add these two in here. I'm gonna push these for you so you can, so this will disable that nonsense. And the same thing will happen here. So just for the people that are trying to understand what I'm doing, in the exceptions area here, it's saying these two are unnecessary. They're unnecessary, not because they're unnecessary, it's because they're being used somewhere else in that class. And that's bad because that means there's hidden stuff that you're not able to see. So if you add in this nice configuration here and you go back to this exceptions piece, these two should be visible now. Any second, I hope. Because fluent assertions is basically what we're using. Let's see. Well, I don't think we need the deep cloner, but do we need fluent assertions? Probably not. Probably not. Let me clean up the project and run a clean solution and see what happens.
Interesting. It's not even in the GitHub, or maybe we are in a different branch.
What, the repo's not in GitHub?
Aha, you see, you are in a post and I'm in a posts.
It should be posts. Oh, I'm in a post. I'm bad. Sorry. My bad. Is the one that's in draft mode? Is it the draft PI, the PR that's open, is it post or posts?
I will try to run
Okay, I'm doing a
refresh.
little bit of cleanup here real quick. Okay, here we go. So I'm just gonna go here and just say code drop. Code drop. Code cleanup. It's probably also nice that I sync with master. So let me do that real quick. I'm gonna go in here. Let's see. I'm gonna get from master, get pull origin master. So now I'm gonna merge my branch because I know Shri added some stuff in there. Yep, of course. I have some conflicts. Give me a second there. Let me fix that for you. So let's see what the problem is. The problem here is that some libraries have been upgraded basically. So I'm gonna trust and take, let's see here. So yeah, there's the exception library, and then there's a bunch of other libraries in here. I'm gonna add this in here, and then I'm gonna accept the changes for this one. Okay, so that's that part. And then I'm gonna also merge for this one. And I think she also updated, no, I think that was me. I updated the,
But by the way, now I'm fine. When I change to the post, there is one 10 test
yeah,
pass
one
and
of them is
one.
failing.
Yes. It's,
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so ScodeRub also merge. Okay, now get ready because I'm gonna push some stuff over to you before you actually start making your task pass. See, their pair programming is amazing. You get busy, get something going, and then you jump into the next thing. Okay, so here's let me just run the test here one more time just to make sure you're in the right side. You're on the right side of history here. I'm gonna rebuild this entire project so it can see the tests. And I think I have an unloaded project in here. Yeah, let's reload that project. And then let's just rebuild everything. Here you go. And then let's see here, my friend. We can, if I run all the tests here, I haven't installed, Brian told me earlier that I have to install the .NET RC release candidate 2, so I'm gonna make sure I do
but
that.
if you update it automatically, it's the Visual Studio
Installs it for you.
2022 4, because if it's update 4, it will be automatically updated. I didn't install it too. It was
Oh, you mean
just
Preview
the
5? Preview
yeah.
5?
No
Okay.
preview 4. It's the I think the latest. There is no
No,
5 so
5. Look,
far.
yeah, 9 hours ago.
Oh, I missed
Yeah,
that. Then it
that's
should be already
it's
there.
yep, gotcha. All right, man, it's your turn. You're it.
Okay, let me sync.
Yep. So the draft PR that's open is post, not posts, right? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a way that you don't have to do that passphrase every single time. Man, that's annoying. Maybe we can figure this out later.
No, I just set myself because of the SSH password.
Yeah.
Kinda.
All right. You have a failing test. You're secure. You want to make sure you're secure. You got the passcode every single minute. All right.
Okay,
Go ahead, man.
let's run it and build it again.
All right. Should have one failing test. Ah, beautiful. All right.
Yes,
Let's do it. Let's
perfect.
make it pass.
Okay, let's go and open the file.
hmm
Exception, add the last one we got foreign
I think it's the
key.
first one. No, the very first one. The second one. Yeah, that's your guy. And also you can reach it out. If you go to the test explorer, if you double click on the failing test, it'll take you to this one.
Okay.
All right, let's make it pass, my friend. What are we gonna do now?
No, the problem is we did not handle it. We want a post.
We want to handle the SQL exception. That's right. Let's do it.
Okay. What is the problem here? SQL exception. And
Uh-huh.
then we will create,
Do you use Vim?
yes,
Wow, nice.
I use
I can never wrap my mind around it. You know, kudos to you. I don't know how to exit out of it. I'm an idiot.
no.
The Q colon whatever. Anyway, here's how you do this, just for starters. So what this test is telling you, the test is trying to tell you a story. It says, hey, once upon a time, a SQL exception was thrown when I tried to call insert post async. And what I thought would happen is that this SQL exception would be wrapped in a failed post storage exception. And inside of, and around that, I'm going to have a post dependency exception. So this is the localization categorization. The localization is to pick up a foreign native or external model like SQL exception and localize it. The localization here is to pick it up and turn it into failed entity storage exception. So that's that guy. Now it's not SQL related. It doesn't know anything about SQL. It just says this entity and this generic integration piece that you're talking about have failed, right? So that's the first piece. And then you did the localization. Now the next step is the categorization because there's either validation exceptions, dependency exceptions, or service exceptions. Validation is something that you're doing. Dependency is something that's an integration, and service is the catch-all. We don't know what happened. Data leakage, memory leakage, the server went down. In our case here, we want to throw a critical dependency exception. So let's go do right click on add post async. Do you see that add post async line 36?
Okay.
And then go to implementation. If you say go to definition, it'll take you to the interface. Okay, now check this out. This insert post async is gonna throw a SQL exception, right? If you go into this nomadic kind of if you go into that try catch function, the function that takes a function, sorry, monad, not nomad. So if you go into try catch in here, this is
Okay.
where we abstracted away all the exception handling across our code. Let's go inside that guy. Right click on that guy, go to definition or implementation. It doesn't really have an interface. So either way it will work. There you go. Okay. Here's the deal, my friend. This is where we're handling the exceptions. We're taking in the function as an input, and whatever exceptions happen out of this function, we handle it at this level. I call it noise cancellation. Exception noise cancellation. So you see here, we're handling null post exception, invalid post exception. The next thing would be handling SQL exception. Let's do that.
Okay. I have to create another try catch or
No, no,
just
no. The existing try catch. See, the one that you have here only cares about the return type. Lucky for us, add post is returning a post. So we don't need to create a new try catch. We just need to add another exception handling piece. Go ahead.
okay. SQL
Yep, yep.
exception.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So now what do we need to do? We need to
Oh,
we need to be able to wrap to localize that SQL exception. Localization. So we want to turn it into a model that's localized to our application. The localization piece here is to basically pick up that SQL exception and wrap it up in a failed post storage exception. Let's do that.
okay. We have to throw the new exception that we create.
Yes, but let's start with this. Try this. Type in var, and then type this. Failed post storage exception. Lowercase f because it's a variable. Mhm.
But
Failed post storage exception. No, the AI is not gonna catch up to you on that one. Nice try. Uh,
fail post
storage
storage.
exception. That's right. And then create a new instance of failed post storage exception. So new failed post storage exception. Failed. There it is. And then pass in that SQL exception to it. So just click a tab. Perfect. Beautiful. What are we gonna do now? We need to go and pass this failed post storage exception to a function that's called create and log critical dependency exception. We don't have that function yet. Scroll down a little bit down. We don't have create and log. Oh, you do. Nice, 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 nice. Okay, let's pick. Let's just call this function create and log
Log.
critical dependency. It's line 68. Yep, throw create and log critical dependency exception.
Done.
No, no, critical dependency exception, not validation exception, right? Because it's a critical dependency, right? It's not a validation. Hmm.
There is.
Hmm. Critical dependency exception. There you go. Now go ahead and run the test again, see what happens. There you go.
Okay.
Yay!
Done. Okay.
Ask me questions. I made you write some things. Do you have any questions about any of that?
Yes,
Anything?
of course.
Go ahead.
Uh, how about you know, you start telling us to do this automatically because you know the way that it's already done. It's clear for you. You just follow the steps.
Yep.
But when me or other guys start coding, okay,
Yeah.
we go to the test,
Uh-huh.
and then we have to start thinking. We have to
Yep.
go look through to other project and say, okay, now what I have
How do,
to
how,
do,
how do we do this? Yeah.
how we do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
any like, especially in tests, the most problem that I faced it was in the tests is how to write a better test, how to think, because there is like many codes go through the test and we have to take care of everything, but we forgot.
Yep.
We just say, okay, I handle null, I had it invalid,
Invalid.
and then how about the storage? Okay, done. What
Yep.
else?
Yep.
And yeah, this is the most thing I faced. And another thing, nowadays you start it in the test, like
Uh-huh.
it is any or it is. But before it was like just you call back. It's run one times,
Yeah.
as I remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
What what this it actually do?
It is any basically compares the value and tries to discard the reference. Because the exception that we're throwing here is as a reference, it originates somewhere else and it has a different location in memory, right? So you see here, I'm saying it is the same exception as, right? That's me basically saying it's not exactly the exact reference of that exception, it's something else. Okay, so this is really important. Why is that important? Because sometimes your function will create values internally that don't match the same reference in your test, but the values are the same. And that's okay. You're basically saying whatever my function is generating, you're going to see a lot of this when you start building processing and orchestration services. The function is creating its own models internally. Not everything that is being passed in is being processed. It sometimes it mutates into something else. So that's that part. The other thing is this is where experience comes in. Like this stuff that you're doing with me right now, that's you starting to build your career step by step. At some point in time, you'll be able to sit like this and you'll be even looking at the TV while you're writing the code. Why is that? Because you're already connected to what needs to happen. You don't have to think about the code anymore and you don't have to think about the possibilities. You're mirroring your thoughts. Just like how I'm talking to you right now. I was just talking to a friend earlier and he said to me, Hassan, you're now at a level where your code matches the same speed you think. I want everyone to be like that. I want when people are thinking, they're not even thinking about the code anymore. They're thinking about what needs to happen And this is called fluency. You're becoming fluent in C sharp to the point where you'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I need to type it this way. At some point in time, and again, like you do it again and again and again. If I tell you I've done this part in here 10,000 times, it wouldn't be an overestimation, because I've been doing this all over the place. So the one thing I just want you to know is that when you're building a function, think about any function that you build as a castle, and you need to protect that castle from all the possible issues. I was just talking to Sally yesterday. I was telling her when you're handling exceptions, you have to think about your function as a castle, and you're thinking, how can issues occur to this castle? It could be from the outside, from the dependencies. It could be from the inside. It could be from the input or the dependency, or from the inside. The input is validation, right? The dependency, the outside is, the dependency, and the internal is the service exceptions, right? So it's just a habit. You're basically starting to kind of write this code. You're still thinking about the code and thinking about the libraries that we're using, and then thinking about what we're actually trying to accomplish. At some point in time, just like going to the gym, you're going to start building that muscle with the code. So you're not even thinking about the code anymore. Now you're starting to think, wait a second, what are we trying to accomplish first, right? And knowing how to accomplish this, like I heard a lot of engineers tell me this, they come to a point in time where you say, the code is the easy part. Coding is the easy part. Knowing what needs to be coded, that's the hard part, right? But if you're starting and you're working with this, you're gonna get to a point where you say, yeah, I still need to be fluent in code. It's like going to another country, like you live in Hungary, right? You're
Yes.
starting to learn the language and all that kind of stuff. At some point in time, you'll be very fluent that you're not even thinking about it anymore. Anyway, so that's basically the purpose behind that, to basically allow you to be. It's just trial and error. I promise you, like working with a lot of people that have different way of learning, before 2 months, 3 months, you'll be going. The whole reason, because this standard is written by someone who loves people. So people are the top priority,
Yeah.
right? I'm not just trying to kind of show off and tell people, oh, look, this is job security. You will never figure it out. Let me throw riddles at you. No, that's not the point. The point here is to be able to go and say, listen, man, I love you. I want you to succeed. Now, here's the best of the best that I can do, right? Whether I'm, having lunch or going out on a walk or whatever the case may be, I'm always thinking, how can I make it simpler, right? And people help me. Like I remind you, you'll come at a point in time where you'll say, Hassan, I figured out a way to simplify this. And that one thing that you'll say is gonna help a lot of people. I had one person, let me show you something. Go to the add test real quick. The logic add, not the exception add. Go to the add test. Let me tell you a story. Yeah, logic add right there. The one in the middle. Yep. Do you see that little deep clone piece on line 24?
Yes.
Let me tell you this how this happened. So I have this engineer on one of the teams, that I work with. Her name is Shri. She basically came in one day, she said, "Hey, by the way, I've been fiddling around with this. And I noticed that if you change the value of this expected post in the function itself, your test won't fail. That means that your function can do stuff to your model before it goes to the database, and you will never be able to catch it." And I kind of brushed it off like this. I said, you know what? I don't think that's the case. Might not work that way. I'm still trying to kind of understand what she's trying to say. And then this other guy, his name is Naveen, he popped up and he said, no, let's try it. Right? When I look at deep clone, I don't see deep clone. I see these people, two people, and I think about what they said. This is why this deep clone, this just been added to my standard literally less than 2 months ago. And the people that proposed this, they only learned about the standard 3 months before that.
Yes. Same like me.
Exactly like you're doing, right? And the more you contribute to the standard, it becomes a hive mind, right? It becomes a hive mind for everybody to be able to come in and say, I am benefiting from this because some really nice, smart engineer out there decided to look a little bit deeper into what we do and decided to make it look prettier, right? And this is the beginning of the journey. And for everybody that's watching us, just like you saw me, you saw the videos, There's many people. Not a lot of these people have access to some fancy training, institution, or nobody's helping a lot anymore. And if you're experienced in this field, there's a lot of people that try to help. There's also a lot of people that know a lot of stuff, but they don't necessarily share it. I decided to take the other camp, the camp of the people that say anything that falls on my heart, I have to tell it to the people right away. I don't want to meet my maker with anything in my head that I haven't taught people yet. That's the point. So anyway, long story short, let's commit this. So how are you gonna commit this? You're gonna copy the
I'm
test
good.
name? Go ahead.
Okay.
Yep. And then commit that test as, what do you think? If you click on this pencil, do you see that? That works too. Yep, go for it.
Arrow.
Yep. And then pass, all uppercase, pass. It makes the history looks beautiful. Yep, and then that drop down button, not the commit all, just the drop down. Commit all and push. There you go. That's your first commit. Not yet. You have to do
It's
the password.
no. Let me tell you something.
Tell me
When
something.
when I implement the
Uh-huh.
repository myself in the
Uh-huh.
Visual Studio, never use a password. But
Mm,
I will fix this issue because I just have to change my key. This
okay.
one, it will be
Okay.
painful.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. So this is it for today. I hope you're learning something today. Please take a look at the stuff that we do and realize and understand that I'm going to take your screen here for a second. Realize and understand that everything that you do here and how you're digesting and looking at this system, that's exactly like, don't just think this is a one-way street. Working with people from everywhere, especially people that are looking at the standard for the first time, know for a fact that you looking at that code and being able to digest and see what's going on there, that helps me to learn. So I am learning from your perspective what's actually happening in our system. Let's see, are we pushing? There you go. Wait, I don't think we're pushing to the right branch. Hold on. Does it? No, no, no. We are. Look at this. It's
Okay.
right here. Right? No, we are. It's. I'm kind of confused because I think in ADO, in ADO it goes older to newer from the bottom to the top. In here it goes from older to the top to newer. So there you go. That's your commit. So you see, it failed because it had a failing test, and now it's passing because it has a passing test. I'm very happy you're joining me on this journey. Here's your code, here's your contribution. See, you didn't touch the test, you just made it pass. And if you look at mine, I mean, mine has a little bit of code cleanup and stuff, but in general, it's mainly focused on this guy right here. This guy right here is focused on just the test. See how clean the code can be? See, this is how you know this is engineered properly, that the people that are making the commit, it's pure commit, meaning that the commit has one purpose and one purpose only. And you might, the more you grow into this industry and the more you see things, you're gonna see some engineers do whip and then completed. There's nothing in the middle. How did this code come into existence? God knows. Who knows how this works, right? So this is a
Yeah.
purest way of building code. You know what I mean?
Okay. I have another question
Go
about the
ahead.
commits. When you
Yes.
create a commit, sometimes you just change lots of things
hmm
and you just write pass. This function is passed.
If I
But
do that, that's bad. That's very bad.
sometimes I see
Mhm. Yeah, if I
when
do that, that says, Hassan, you're not supposed to do that. See, the code, so what I did with you here today, that's the best way to do this. Let me show you again. If you go in here, if I go back to this commit, look what I did here. I did one commit just for the failing test, and then one for code cleanup and one for master merge. That's how it should be, right? Why is that important? If I make a mistake and we need to revert, I'm not reverting things in the middle that has a completely different purpose. And this is where engineering comes in. Engineering being able to come in and say, I want to engineer my intent. So every commit should have one and only one intent. If my intent is to write a failing test, then it's a failing test. If my intent is to clean the code, then it's clean the code. If my intent is to merge with master, then it's merge with master. That's
That's
called purest approach. And you'll see, like, if I go here and if you type in pure code, I'll share this in the video as well. Pure code, Hassan, Habib, like this. There's a whole, or pure coding rather. I'm forgetting my own stuff. Pure coding is exactly that. That's you being able to kind of, write a failing test and just make it pass. There's a lot of theory and philosophy behind the stuff that I'm doing. Look, one fail, one pass, one fail, one pass. See how this works? That means that tomorrow, when you and I meet again, you're going to
okay.
be writing a failing test because it's your turn to write a failing test, and then I make it pass. And then I write a failing test, and then you make it pass. We call it ping pong. Ping pong,
Okay.
right? Like you receive the thing, and then you shoot it back as a failing test until we reach to the last commit. Uh,
Okay. Then what is the next exception that we will work tomorrow? The new
the,
one.
the next exception that we need to do tomorrow is something called duplicate key exception. What is this duplicate key exception? If you look at previous existing repositories, sorry, this is the wrong one. Yeah, there you go. If you look at existing repositories, let's take up something like OSSS, for instance. So let's look at API. I don't know if there's a lot of work to do here. Shri and I are trying to kind of bring this and area and so many other people really. We're trying to bring this up to date with the new standard. But if you look at exceptions, you should see something like there it is. Do you see that duplicate key exception? What is this duplicate key exception, Mahdi? Duplicate key exception is when you try to add a record and that record already exists in the database. So we have this library called exceptions that takes these exceptions, the generic exceptions are DB update exceptions from the Entity framework, and turns it into these meaningful exceptions. We're gonna localize this into something that says already exists post exception, and then pass that down to a validation. It's gonna be a dependency validation exception. This is old school. We changed that. It's gonna be dependency validation exception. All right, my friend, does that make sense? There's a lot of stuff to learn. I can't wait to show you all these things. There's a lot of stuff to learn. There's a lot of things. Today, I have done something with you that I have never done before, localizing critical dependencies and localizing dependency exceptions. I have been talking about this, but I've never ever done it
Yeah,
before.
exactly. I wanted. It was my next question. You never.
Yep, this has been in my mind for a very long time. And now after that I have upgraded, the backlog for the engineering standard is very big. There's a lot of things I need to add. There's a lot of things in our industry that needs to be kind of streamlined. And this is what I'm doing here, basically. I'm just sitting here building an engineering standard, working with the engineers. I think we can make the world a better place, one engineer at a time. So we'll see how
Hopefully.
far we can go with that one, right?
Let's see.
We'll scale, right? Like I'm teaching Mehdi, Mehdi will teach two other people. The two people will teach four people, 20, and then maybe we can cover up all the 0.24% of the population of the planet
Mm.
and help people write proper software. But more important than all of this, which is what's really making me happy, every single minute and every single bit of code that you're pushing here, just like I told you before the recording, is going into this Git file. So once that PR is merged into master, now, my friend, your profile is going to get started. You're going to have a Git file profile. And this Git file profile will tell you about all the little details about your contributions, what's your rank, what can you do, and don't be disheartened or kind of, disappointed that we're just doing one test today. I remember when I first started with Brian Parker from Australia. I'm building a virtualization model with him. When we first started, we were very, very slow. We're just getting started, but now it's just going like this. We're just going like this. So it just takes a little bit of practice, but you're gonna have your own profile, you're gonna have your own score. Yeah, now you're a part of a bigger family of engineers that are truly, genuinely trying to streamline the industry. All right, man.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm
It
very
was.
excited to meet you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will just look through the code again and check the next one, the duplicate key.
Yes. It's called duplicate key exception, and we're gonna localize it into already exists post exception. Take a look at it, see how it works, and maybe we can pull in Sally with us into these pairing sessions. I'll just sit here, watch you guys, and help out. We'll do the three amigos, right? So I do failing test and all that, but we'll see how far things go. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for stepping up and wanting to do this. Thank you for looking after your own career and trying to build your own skill set. And welcome to the big family. We're starting it
Thank
and
you.
building it, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Thank you,
Thank you
Mandy. I
so much.
appreciate it. Take
Thank you,
care, man.
guys.